And with that, greetings and salutations, nerds. It's another Saturday. And we're joined today with our very special guest star, Jeremy Shorr, owner of Titan Comics. Also, special guest boarding, because Ziggy the Board Wonder is gone, is Austin. Let's all give a healthy Vagabond Nerds greeting to Austin.
What's going on, man?
What's going on, bro?
What's up, y'all? Happy to be here. Thank you for letting me fill in for Ziggy. Ziggy's the master. I hope I can live up to his excellence.
The goal here is to end at Jedi Master by the time you leave. Okay. And considering that we are pretty easygoing, you should attain that by about minute 2.
All right, that sounds good.
Well, we're happy to have you. It's another Saturday. We are the Vagabond Nerds. Sean, Ray, and of course I'm Jason. How has everyone been since last episode?
You know what? So Kevin Smith had a heart attack. Like the day after our episodes. That was kind of sad.
I heard about that.
I've looked up to him. I appreciate his career and
That's probably a better way of saying that.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't really look up to a lot of people, but it's a little sad that he might have died a little bit. But I'm pissed off this morning because there are things I've learned to accept in life, right? I know, and I have to accept that DC does not make consistently good movies. I know and I accept that Justin Bieber and the Kardashians are part of this world. And I've even learned to accept the fact that people do not obey yield signs. What? But when I'm in a big freaking ass truck and I give you the kindness of my heart to put my signal light on and you decide it's okay to speed up when my truck can roll over your piece of shit car in the best of ways, how about you learn how to be appreciative on the freaking road?
Well, see, it's a little known fact that in Texas, what you're supposed to do when someone puts on their signal is speed up to block them. That is how traffic works around here.
Not when your vehicle that you're trying to speed up on, and you can fit in the bed of the truck.
Are you using logic?
Oh, doggone it, man!
Stop that.
These are the mornings.
Stop using logic. You'll be a lot happier.
These are the mornings.
Much happier individual.
These are the
logic.
mornings I need drinks, and I just want to get.
You know what?
Going.
Here, I can help you.
Oh, God bless you, my friend.
There you go.
This is how we do it.
There you go.
It's a bad show or a bad morning.
It's not a drink. It's Kentucky mouthwash.
There you go.
That's what it's for. You know.
He went back for 2.
Are
you feeling better?
You know what you call that?
Let's put that away before you go
You
too
call
far
that
with
relief, my friend. Relief.
And start calling. So what? It's Rolaids now.
No, man.
Could be.
You have those medicated pads, kind of.
I had
that's for hemorrhoids.
That's
buddy.
for something different. That's way different.
Okay, I'm
That's,
sorry, man. I was going a completely different way with that.
Yeah, that's for a different one. Yes.
It's one goes one. Yeah, one goes in your mouth. The other does not.
So you
surprisingly,
don't chew
that's like your Saturday nights.
You don't chew the pads?
No, you don't. No, you're not. You shouldn't.
Most of us don't.
I'm doing this wrong then.
We
You're
do
doing
that
a lot of
already.
things wrong.
Oh my
Anyway,
gosh.
hi guys.
Yeah. Hey, Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Mr.
I'm
Sparkles?
doing really well. I had some breakfast tacos with eggs this morning. They were delicious.
I got to ask you a question.
Yes.
Was that like 70 cents a carton?
They were the extra large, so it was like 98 cents. But it was a 12. You know, it was a 12 carton, so it was bigger. And it was not from Walmart though. It was from Target. That's on the way home, and that's the place that carries the drum roll APA that I've been drinking lately, which is fantastic.
Oh, God bless it.
Well done.
Gotta love an IPA.
Oh, this is an APA. Just a regular American pale ale. Now, I did pick up a 12-pack of IPA when I picked up the 6-pack of that.
Okay.
You got to have variety. It's all about variety.
So, Austin, this is why the show's called Vagabond, because we're going to go
wherever.
It doesn't matter where we go.
Right on. Loose topics, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, man.
Is there
our
a topic?
I think
our
that's the
topics
only
are loose and dirty all the time.
Hell yeah. I'm down with it.
Yes.
Same way Ray likes his men. Now,
Yes, I do.
for those of our viewers who are not familiar, Jeremy, you run Titan Comics.
It's been known to happen, yeah.
Occasionally, you show up, you make some money.
Occasionally, yes.
How long have y'all, guys? He's pretty much our topic today. Loose and dirty like everything else. So,
oh wait, where is Titan Comics currently?
That's
where is it?
Go. Yeah. So let's start off with where you are.
Street address 3128 Forest, and that's Suite 250. It's at the corner of Forest and Webb Chapel in the same shopping center as the world's largest El Phoenix.
What city is that?
It is. It's in Dallas.
It's Dallas. Okay,
Yeah.
it's Dallas. Cool.
Yeah, it's right. It's sort of catty corner to the Tinsel Town.
Cinemark, yeah.
Oh, the
Cinemark
Tinseltown.
17,
I got you.
Off
Yeah.
635.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm gonna kiss a little butt here with Jeremy. So I've known Jeremy, God, I think since I was 16.
I don't remember.
It's been a long time.
I've been doing this a long time.
I think it's over 20 years since you've been extorting me and taking my money.
There you go.
But by far, I don't want to do this because I want you to get in a big head.
It's already there. Sorry.
Yeah.
man.
All right. Well,
7 3/4.
there we go.
I have the same problem. Large hats.
Yeah.
You saw
All
mine
problems for our moms.
That's it.
So, but by far the best comic book store, no matter which location you've been in the DFW area. To
Thank
me.
you, sir.
And it's, I go in and you take care of the customers. You harass us, which, like any good comic book store, you freaking should. If you're not getting insulted going in or coming out of a comic book store, you're doing it wrong.
I just like to make sure you feel.
That's
the love.
exactly right.
That's right.
But there has literally never been something that this man could not hunt down in the comic book world, be it book, statue, or other, that he hasn't been able to procure. So,
Other.
Whatever other may be.
Comic book related.
Comic book related.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
Not that kind of other.
Yeah,
Well, we were,
for
we started.
once, not
hey,
that other.
we
yes.
started fast, loose, and dirty. I didn't know where we were going to go with
There
this.
you
I don't know, as Jason would say, it's golden cocaine money.
Golden cocaine
Golden
money.
cocaine
That's
money.
it.
Okay.
That's it.
But seriously, it's well lit when me and this other knucklehead.
It must
Tried-
be if it was
tried
golden
to-
cocaine
it
money.
was, right?
It better be well
You were
lit.
well lit,
You were
man.
well lit. Yeah.
Why do you think you introduced me to that?
That's right. But it's always a fun time going in there, and anytime I go in there, my kids know this man, and one, that's scary, and because he
they're
does
incredibly
drive
cute though.
because he does drive a van.
Well, he's got to get them when they're young.
No, well, it's
My plan. I haven't gotten there yet. It's a plan.
it's like Pokemon, really sick Pokemon. But
Oh,
anyway, so as we're sitting there and as we go in, we always appreciate everything that he does. So, as we're going to be talking about various comic book stuff today, if you get a chance, you got to swing by the store, go in, pay a visit, because I don't see any other. There are good comic book stores in the DFW area.
Yes, there are.
But this man has the best. So.
I like to think so, but I don't.
That's
I'd
right.
rather
I'm
have you
I'm
say
gonna
that
do it
than
for
me.
you.
Thank you.
The time I was there, it was the older location, which was down on the corner. Same shopping center,
right.
but further on the corner. So I'd love to see the new setup sometime soon.
it is
It's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
The new set of
I heard it was, you got bigger space and
It's better.
nice.
Yeah.
Very
It's
nice.
better.
Very nice.
Much better.
Cool.
So you. Uh-oh.
Are you got mic problems?
Yeah,
Jason?
I'm having.
A little bit.
Okay.
You have
Can
mic-
you pivot? Pivot?
pivot?
Yeah, just a
How's
connection
that?
there.
All right.
Did you connect it?
Hello.
Okay.
Hello? Okay. All right. Y'all can hear me now.
I don't want to hear you in the first place, but sure, what the hell?
Bite me. Before we get too far into other topics, do you have any specials or sales going on right now?
I'm not a. It's. I'm not a sale kind of place. No. I understand the concept.
Way to
This
set
is-
him up for that, Jason.
No.
Jeez,
It's-
man.
This is all about the concept of how and why I run my business. If you see, you as the customer, if you see, well, that book that was cover price 2 months ago is over there in that 50-cent bin now. Why should I pay full price for that? That kind of that I'm telling you by my actions that your comics aren't worth anything. That's my approach.
Right.
If I demonstrate that I consider your comics to be worthwhile, which I do, by the way, if I have a sale, it's only occasional. It's literally sales are supposed to be special events. They aren't supposed to be. I woke up this morning, I had a sale. That's not a sale.
It's Wednesday. It's time for the sale. It's not like that.
I'm beginning to
Yeah.
understand why our store failed there, Jason.
Well,
Our store, I believe, sir.
Yeah,
That's
your store.
Nah.
I tried to give you some input, but by the time
You
I was
did,
there,
you did.
you'd already gone down the primrose path.
And let me tell you, we appreciated that fact because it was you didn't have to do that, and Lord knows, I don't think anyone else would have done it, which speaks to your character. And
I'm a big believer in everyone succeeding. If we've got a bunch of successful comic book stores out there, we all get better.
are you
Right.
hearing that, other owners? Right? I mean, probably not because we've got about 4 listeners, but the bottom line is right. It's a group effort.
You take
And
care of each other.
Yeah, like don't. I'm not going to name any stores, but there are a couple that come to mind. Don't be jerks.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're all in it together, especially with this small, and it's not small anymore. Thank you, Marvel.
Right.
Notice I didn't say thank you, DC, but
No one ever does.
No one
so
ever does.
no one's
No
doing
one
it
ever
on
does.
that critics.
I'm sorry. I'd much rather have DC than Marvel.
As would we. It's just that in the movie universe.
Well,
doggone
now,
it.
but see, the movie universe only affects me tangentially at best.
That's
Which
true.
is going to be, I think, something
That
things
we'll
we're gonna
get
talk
to. That's
yeah.
something we'll get
Right?
to. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
something we'll get to.
But more
today,
specifically, my
definitely.
setup was to have you say, no, I don't do sales because I already price everything
Well,
for my customers.
And that's true too. But at the same time, I'm not like I say I don't really do sales. You started at one point to ask how long I'd been doing this, and there's really
Yes.
3 answers because it's a long story, which I'll boil down because I've had to say this many times.
We have an hour and a half. Take as long as you want.
There you go. I married the owner back in 1989. Okay, this isn't something that happened 2 weeks ago or anything like that. Okay, I was one of her customers, as she will tell you, and I will concur, her most annoying customer. Gosh, neither of you can guess that. I know. That's good.
I don't know how she waited so long to say yes.
Well, there you go. But she opened her first store in Houston in 1985. So she's been doing this a really long time. I started working for her sometime in '86 part-time because why not? And we were dating anyway, and then we got married and opened up this store, opened up Titan Comics in Dallas in '91. So in Dallas, we've been here for, it'll be 27 years June 1st.
That was the one off Northwest Highway, right?
Originally,
that-
well, okay. This is our 5th location.
Right.
The first location at Northwest Highway and Marsh, where Marsh turns into where Lemon turns
Yeah.
into Marsh, and vice versa. On the northeast corner, at the top of the hill, there's a tiny little shopping center. We started out on the left side in 800 square feet. Hey, you got to start somewhere, man.
Yeah, you do.
We were
That was
there.
bigger than my first apartment.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we were there for 3 years. Then we moved to the other end of the shopping center, where it was right at 2,000 square feet. We were there 2 years, and then we moved on the other side of Marsh into the shopping center doesn't exist anymore. They tore it down to build a Walmart. Nobody misses it. Trust me.
You can get eggs there, right?
About 70 cents a carton.
Yeah.
Probably.
We're going to run that joke down for you, Jason,
go.
since it was last show.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to
Take your
We're gonna
time.
make sure you never bring up eggs again, buddy.
Oh, that's
No, I
that is
I
not
want
that's
him
not
to
gonna
keep.
prevent it.
Yeah, I want him to keep bringing it up, but you don't. Otherwise, we
how
won't
can you-
get
how can you
golden
drive it
gems
to the
like this.
ground?
Yeah, and then you can't
I
just.
don't know.
You gotta have something to coast on. This is not quality content we have here, so we gotta have something we're gonna do for a while.
Yeah, we're gonna need you to amp this up here a little.
Oh no.
Okay,
Yeah,
there you
that's
go.
why he's here. Is because the three of us
Did
by
you,
ourselves
did you
can't
need
pull
a
this
swig
crap
of the-
off.
You want to go ahead and pass it down?
Oh wow.
Oh, is Jason gonna do this?
Are we sure about this?
Oh man, I kind of want to see this. Are we
Yeah,
gonna
have we got some video going on this?
Oh yeah, well,
yeah,
we do.
we're live
Okay,
right
good,
now.
good.
There you
live.
go. There you go.
Thank you.
Partake
All right, so
of that, buddy.
so then you moved to where Walmart is now.
Yes.
and then after that,
And we were there for 11 years. Then we moved up to the current shopping center. We were at one end
Yeah.
by CC's Pizza for 6.
yeah,
And then we moved to where we are now right about a year ago. So, Vagabonds. That's me. I'm a vagabond.
You
right. We all
fit
feel
right
good.
in,
There
sir.
you go. That's right. I
Fit
do.
right in. Help. I mean, yeah.
No,
sir.
I may,
you.
but not yet.
All right.
So, but yeah, I've been doing this a while. I've been doing this a long time.
excellent. Well, what kind of changes have you seen over the last 30 years?
Holy sh!
Well, no.
Over the last 30 years.
Oh well, it's been a couple.
Let's see.
The biggest change.
Few presidents.
The biggest change, in my opinion, is the migration of the readership from 98% male to at least 60%, to no better than 60% male.
Really?
Yes,
That's good. That's a nice
ton
diversification.
of female readers now, and there are a ton of comic books and other entertainment venues than comic books that cater specifically to female readership. They write for females. They're targeted at females, and I think that's just effing awesome.
Do you think that actually had is part of the result, the specific result of that, maybe that they targeted females more to bring them in?
I know that.
Did you see a shift in the comics that way when you were,
Sure.
Yeah.
A long time ago, that was a regular conversation of we'd love the guys, we'd love
they're
their
like
money,
it's just
but
male centric.
Can we try and move away from that somewhat gradually, getting there, kind of thing.
Right.
And over the course of time, there's been a whole lot more inclusion of both females and everyone else who you would associate with the societal changes, the LBGTQ. I always get that sideways. I forget that. Well, no. There's
it keeps changing like every other week. So it's fine.
There you go. There's a specific rhythm of those letters, and I can't. But there's a ton of alternative lifestyle choices in reading now.
Yeah.
That comes into play as well, and so I think it's not just comic books. Just aren't anymore the big strong person, usually a guy.
It's not just the
pounding
Superman.
the heck out of the big strong bad guy, usually a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not just superheroes anymore. Because not there was ever just superheroes. You had war comics, you had other types of things, but by and large, when I would start off, you had Transformers, and you had superheroes. Those were the main ones outside of like the Nom. That was like the only other non-superhero
You really like
comic
to bring
I
up
can
the
remember.
Nom, don't you?
Yes.
Well,
it was a great
he's
series.
just glad he didn't
you
go.
see that face? I'm sure he lived through it. Look at his age. And I'm not pointing at Jeremy.
Hey, Statler and Waldorf, respect the client here.
There you go.
Anyway, but
matter.
it's like now you have everything from superheroes and war comics to crime stories and to
Stories.
mob
Thank
stories.
God, 100
Well, they
bullets.
always had. I mean,
but-
like a Pulp Fiction type was always
Right.
around. That never.
But that's what I'm saying. It seems
Not
like
so much. Not so much.
And it was
Sorry.
never mainstream.
Well, no, I didn't mean it was mainstream. I just meant it was around for a lot longer than.
No, not really.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, there were some. There were. Well, I mean, after all, you got to remember in the high level concept, Batman is a detective.
That's true. Yes.
So he is
Yes.
kind of his own PI.
Right.
Okay, except nobody hires him, right? Okay, but in a high level concept, he's basically a gumshoe.
I would love to actually see that. A series where somebody does hire him. They come to him and he has to.
There's a couple.
What do you want me to do? Just.
There's a couple of.
But I want it
graphic novels.
narrated like an old school noir. I was tracking him down. I just want that whole thing going on.
Michael Lark did a graphic novel called
Yes.
Detective 27.
Sweet.
That
That
you
was
need
awesome.
to go
Okay.
check out. It's really, really good. It's basically Bruce Wayne's a gumshoe.
I would, but I want it Batman. I want him in the full suit. I understand.
okay.
I just think it would be funny.
Yeah, probably would. Well, write it up.
I'm
You'll
gonna
see
mock.
me buy
I'm
it
gonna
from
mock the hell out of a lot of comics. I love comics, but I just kind of fell off. I just fell out of the know. Like I was telling Jason, he goes, what are we going to talk about? And he's like, man, Jason, you were saying you can't remember the last time you did pick up a comic book.
No, it's the last time I picked up an actual comic book was
What was
on
it?
regular.
Khalid on his last visit?
No,
Where he gave
yeah,
you the comic book?
right.
Was
No,
that
no.
Was that the
No.
last time you
No,
picked
because
up
he
a
didn't
comic
give
book?
me the
He didn't
comic. He
give
gave you the comic.
So what was
He
it?
gave Sean the comic.
I have-
Gave you the comic.
yeah, I have
I didn't
two,
get the
yeah.
comic. So no.
But when was the last
Because
time?
even he knew.
Shut up. When was the last time you picked up something and read it? What did
It
you
was
say?
the last issue of Fables.
Okay.
the last-
And then
That's only 6
That's
years
like-
ago, I think.
yeah. So when
wasn't that
but
long.
what I told him was, well, let me.
Do you want me to Google it for you? And tell
Hold
you?
on.
So what I said,
on.
what I said in response to that was, well, let me think. The last time I was reading comics, let's see, Liefeld was really big. So
Were you
just
12?
hurts.
I couldn't tell you. It was somewhere around 13, 14.
was-
Yeah, it
he
was
was
no,
from-
it was that long ago. I mean, we're talking
know.
20 years.
The Liefeld was not big 20 years ago.
What did
he was already done.
There you go. But no, I was reading. So what I was reading, Cyberforce and Wetworks, and when Image, the whole Image thing. So I mean, but that's the last time I was reading comics was way back then until Khalid was kind enough to give me the 2 issues of Big, which the first issue was really good. I like that. It was very
really
good. I have the second one prepared for reading probably today after I get home. So.
Last issue of Fables was July of 2015. Not 6 years, sir.
There you go.
It's only been 3 years.
Okay, sorry.
It's only half as long as the time. Yeah.
Haha. At
Yeah.
least I know that I'm Batman Metal and Doomsday Clock. So I'm more current.
Yes.
Not
yes.
not by much, but I am more current.
There you go.
Because quite frankly, DC's not killing it in the movies, but their books, the past, for me, about the 5 to 7 year mark, everyone thought that this rebirth idea and the New 52 and everything was just going to be horrible. And little did we know that really good stories and writing came out of this.
We got Scott Snyder.
You got Scott Snyder, who's written by far the best Batman since...
You haven't read much Tom King then, but that's okay. You can get there. You have my permission.
I'll get there. But it's been a while from the stuff that I've read. I think the last good stuff I remember, and I'm not going to count Frank Miller because everyone jumps to that part. But I would probably go back as far as Danny O'Neill.
Okay. He did some good Batman.
Yeah. So I mean, this is something I've been wanting to ask you.
Okay.
You have now people jumping ship from Marvel.
Okay.
More specifically, Bendis jumped ship. And is now
okay, you're talking creator jumping ship.
Creator
Yeah.
jumping ship. And, we've got Action 1000 coming up in April,
Pretty soon, yeah.
written by Bendis.
Well, no, not the
Or
whole
is it
thing.
not
There's
the
a
whole
Bendis
thing?
story in it. Action 1000 and many of the anniversary issues like this are more anthology titles. They've got there's a 5-page Tom King story in it. They'll have lots of 3, 5, 8-page stories.
It's like a little variety.
Yeah, because it's a celebration kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Almost
Yeah.
like that
And they-
Batman black and white.
Yeah, almost. Lots of high-profile people. For example, Jim Lee's going to be drawing the Bendis
Nice.
story.
Really?
But since we know Jim Lee's drawing it, that means it's going to be 6 to 10 pages. No. I love Jim Lee. I got it.
I know.
He's a busy guy. He makes way much. He makes so much more money for DC in his non-artist capacity.
Yeah.
Eking out time for him to work as an artist is very difficult. That's why you'd see somebody like Quesada, who's in charge at Marvel. He only does maybe 4 covers a year at tops because he just doesn't have time.
It's not. Yeah, they can't.
He makes more money.
Cost. Yeah, the cost that he's making doing other things to stop and
Exactly.
sit and do this, it's just not worth it.
You got it. Then
Yeah.
Jim Lee has the same thing going on. He just makes more money for him doing other things.
Right.
Well, I think with Jim Lee, and I feel that he's probably the biggest success story coming out of Image from those days.
Yeah.
I would tell you would disagree with me, but I'll bet you McFarlane's richer than all of them.
Oh,
No,
definitely.
I don't disagree with you. I agree
But
with
do you know why?
he ended up
Was it
doing
the
a lot
toy
of
rights?
It's the action figures. He sells so many.
I couldn't wait to
sport
get my
action figures.
Oh, the sport
The
ones.
sport
I
figures.
have.
It is
yeah.
just nuts how many of those he sells.
Yep, I have a Patrick Waugh goalie statue that I got from a friend of mine way back when he was
playing.
Right, when he was playing. But I couldn't wait when they started with McFarlane Toys to get my hands on my first Spawn. That was just, I remember waiting for that. It was just, had to save up the money because, I was 12.
They were never cheap.
No, never. Not even then. They were expensive as hell then. And they just, the prices continue to go up with,
but with the
rise.
quality, I mean, the sculpts on them are amazing.
That's true. No,
not this is
not
going to become.
knocking any of
I don't
that.
want this to be an advertisement for
McFarlane Toys?
Although,
No, but
if
we
you,
appreciate
if you're
it.
listening, we do appreciate all of your fine products.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll absolutely sponsor you, bud.
So,
Or
but I
vice
mean, the work is amazing, and it's and you're right. He monetarily, he is absolutely the greatest. But I think Ray's more speaking of maybe creatively as a comic,
And
book,
that's,
Yeah.
as a what do we call him? Comic book producer. Because I mean, he's not just doing art. I mean, he's more on the more on the art director side, I guess.
They usually just throw creator in there.
Creator,
because he does so much around the whole concept of things. He does a little bit of everything. You can't really label him with just one thing.
Yeah, he's not just the art director
just
anymore,
a penciler or an art director.
Yeah.
Got that Jeff Johns role. Which,
kind of.
Another
Godfather.
Another someone who just during that Rebirth run. Well, actually before then with the Green Lantern.
Yeah, and then the New 52s really he just blew up. But something you sort of touched on is like while the DC comics are great, then the movies suck. And you mentioned this sort of tangentially. The movies don't
it's really... a day ending in Y, and we have to take a shot at DC cinematic universe.
Now, Wonder Woman was good.
Wonder Woman was.
And that's
good.
the one that everybody's going to come back to because it's the only one you can point out.
So far.
That's true. There's always opportunities.
They've gone back and written losers into their universe, into the cinematic universe. So that was good, too. But more specifically, like you said, the movies don't really affect you one way or the other, perhaps directly, typically. But has those movies, affected you in maybe a secondary way? Like, do they have any effect on your
Absolutely.
business?
The biggest effect I've seen from the movies over the years is very simple, and he can tell you about this. Right about the time, with 6 months after the first Avengers movie came out, and I saw the first parent come in with their 3-year-old child decked out in Hulk or Captain America or Iron Man gear, and while the kid may not read the comics yet, he's excited by the characters, and the potential exists that at some point in the future, if he continues to be a geek or a nerd or whatever we want to call them, okay, that he will...
We're nerds here.
Okay,
Little bastard.
nerds. Thank you.
Nerds.
Thank you. That he will one day become a comic book reading nerd. And I think that is a huge shift because when I was growing up, nobody had any of that stuff.
Yeah,
you might get it.
You kept that in the closet.
Yeah, and, well, you might.
You
might
did.
You might get the.
That's where
toy
my
from
current
the-
issues of comics are, sir.
That's sort of mine.
I shouldn't say current,
I
though.
thought they were under the bed.
No,
they're-
that was a different magazine.
No,
Different
no,
altogether.
those are
Okay,
different.
okay.
Yeah.
That's
Those are
different.
different.
But I mean, you might get a Happy Meal toy when I was a kid.
Oh, I was
That
pretty
kind of-
happy
yeah.
about the ones under the bed.
But there really wasn't a whole lot of opportunity to demonstrate, even if you wanted to, even if your parents wanted
absolutely.
to, how you liked those things.
Yeah.
And that's so different today, and it's become so much more accepted out in the world to like anything that's superhero-y, even though you've never read any of it.
Right.
Okay. The translation on the other side is that for me as a comic book retailer, somebody who is actively making a living, or at least attempting to, on comic books and the world around them, is that there's the potential that those short people who start they're short people.
No, Ray's
It's okay, Ray. It's
I
okay,
know.
Ray. It's okay, Ray. You got older. You just
Those
never
are
grew
children.
up.
The term
Yeah,
midget.
shorter than Ray people. There, how's that?
Shorter than Ray.
So 3 and 4 year olds.
Yes, 3
My
or 4.
daughter's taller, I
Well,
think.
actually, your son's 8 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And does he still like comic books?
He's actually getting more into it. So the last time we were there, we went
Yeah.
from the books geared still for children in the comic book format to he just picked up his first trade paperback.
Whoa.
So and he's reading it.
Well, see to me that's a double excitement.
Yeah.
They're reading and they're excited by reading.
And to that point, so like with my daughter, and
Yeah, well, your daughter's
she's
a
hooked.
total nerd. Yeah,
She's hooked, right? And so, but
she will make some male nerd very happy
I
someday.
know. And whoever that guy is going to see my target practicing. It's
You actually know how to aim at a target?
I know how to destroy the middle of that target.
Oh, okay.
So just,
That's what
You're
always.
the stormtrooper who stands 2 feet away, like in the commercial.
Hey,
No, he's
whatever-
actually much
whatever
better.
works.
He's much better than that. If you notice, he's always squinting because he's always practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the
It's
fat.
got nothing
It
to
has
do with that.
with
He's always
I'm just
like,
always
I'm
looking
just
at my next
ready,
target,
always aiming.
just in case.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how it's gotten so good.
But yeah, she went from doing the trades and everything else. Like that natural progression to an entire, she's reading novels and everything else, and she goes through them quite fast, and she's retaining everything. So, me and Jason, we would always tell people when they're like, "Oh, my child, they don't like to read, they don't like to do this." We would always say, "Get them into comics."
That's how I started.
Because that's what's going to want them to say, "Okay, well, it's not just crap, or it's not just boring to read. It's got some excitement to it." It's a gateway into reading other stuff, but it's also a great gateway into the nerddom that we all
Gateway
have.
verbiage.
Yes, there you go. There you go.
Absolutely.
But that, to me, that's what's changed the most is the overall accessibility and acceptability of the whole gestalt of comic books and superheroes, which when I was growing up and when you were growing up was not in any way as cool as it is now.
I get
cool.
I get made fun of tons of times
absolutely.
for wearing my X-Men shirt.
Ray
I'm like,
still makes fun of you.
seriously?
It's okay.
Oh yeah, I know. I just I don't
It's different
care.
stuff now,
It's
though.
different. Yeah, it's way different.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's you're exactly right. I mean, the only ways to express yourself at that time that you liked comics was maybe a T-shirt you could find somewhere.
Yeah.
You could pick up the Wizard issues, from the grocery
Yeah.
store to read what was going on if someone spied you reading one of those, or you had action figures. You had bed sheets. That's all you had as a kid. When I was a kid.
Oh,
to
iron-ons.
show.
That's how far back I go.
That's right. Even
You could go to the comics. And
I had the GI Joe patches that I could
back to
iron
the
on.
Nam?
Yeah,
no.
back in Nam.
Back in Nam.
Iron-ons.
Tell us about the 60s. The 70s. What was that like, Jason?
I was going to say, he wasn't born in the 60s. So.
Look at that face. Tell me otherwise.
There you go. But
Screw all of you. I'm done.
Bye, Jason.
Bye, Jason.
Pleasure seeing you today, sir.
We love you, man. We love you.
Pleasure seeing you today.
See what happens when you get up in the morning and you ride into this place with me?
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, like you could order like patches and iron-ons and stuff from out of the comics. Like,
Yeah.
I remember.
Put them on the flak jacket?
Yeah.
Put them on the flak jacket. When you're coming in from the Huey. Targeting some Charlies, maybe a couple kids in the local village.
Okay, wow. No.
Get some.
Yeah.
Jason's all like, I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Nothing like burning some VCs for breakfast.
Okay, we
Is that the Flight of the Valkyries playing in the background?
In fact, it is.
See, you missed your chance, board op. You should have.
Austin, there you go, man.
should have
Flight
keyed
of the
up Flight of the
Valkyries.
Flight of the Valkyries. In fact, that's the outro today.
Oh, there we go.
You got it if that's what you want.
Yeah,
Love the
throw
smell
some
of napalm
Wagner
in
on
the
there.
morning.
But I for example, when I have a lot of shirts like this.
Yeah.
Okay. That
Bowling shirts.
Bowling shirts?
No, there's only you could call them bowling shirts. You've seen them. They're all over prints.
Yeah.
And they're for us large guys. No,
Yes.
they don't make them in your sewing tray.
I'll have you know, thank you, DXL. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Really?
I've found
there you
found one or two. Although you've lost the giant Batman face that I gave you. I don't think
No, I
you even know.
didn't.
Oh,
I
did
have
you
it.
find?
I
Okay,
found it,
you
yeah.
found it
I
again?
actually wore it the other day.
Last time you were telling me you
I was
couldn't
like, I
find
couldn't
it.
find
so
it,
that's
but I
what it
did
was.
find it. So.
There you
Good.
go.
Which is basically just Adam West going,
It's going.
But I go down. I wear
just love
this
it 'cause
stuff all
it
the
sounds
time
like
when
the sound
I'm
reminds
not
me of him
at
taking a
work. At
crap.
work, I wear a shirt with my name on it.
Yeah.
And I get people stopping me all the time. Going, where'd you get that shirt? Well, 20 years ago. Thank you. Yeah, they have made these.
My store.
Yeah.
here's a flux capacitor. Good luck.
There you go.
But come by my store,
Yeah.
Zeus Comics. What's the address again?
Oh, no. You will not mention that store in my presence.
It's just another store. Everybody runs their own store, and their
We're
own
all in this together,
It's you know
except for
That's my line in the sand right there.
That's your
Okay.
line?
That's my line, man. That's my line.
By the way, I actually drove by their new location. It's in the
Look,
middle of nowhere.
Austin's about to.
Yeah, I had a quick question. So y'all touched on Todd McFarlane. What are you guys thinking about this new movie he's got in development, the new Spawn film?
Reboot.
I mean it. No. I sigh because this is I get because I work at a comic book store. I get asked questions similar to this.
Sure.
Daily, sometimes 6 or 7 times a day. So I have a fairly stock answer. Which
I always
is,
ask you about
I'm-
your hemorrhoids.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Right.
Okay,
Right on.
and I'm
Right
optimistic
on.
about my hemorrhoids too. So that's good.
He stopped eating the pads.
There you go.
That's the cooling side now.
There you go. And I the first movie was pretty bad. Okay, so
that's actually giving it a
That's an upgrade.
That's an upgrade for that.
I know
Nostalgia kick in on that one.
kind of. So I'm hopeful that Todd has learned some lessons from that, but you just never know. You just never know.
How much creative input and or product pull on this movie did he have back then? I mean, did he have much?
No.
No.
That's what I was
actually,
thinking.
No,
he didn't have. I mean, other
my
than like
understanding is that Todd has always jealously guarded
no, and I know
Spawn and all of its representations and trademarks, so that I think. Keep in mind that the movie's 20+ years old,
right?
I've had brain cells pass on and move to different places.
I'm working on that right now.
Yeah, there you go. Woo! But my understanding was that as much as they would let him, he tried to steer them in certain directions. But I also wasn't deeply involved. I only heard about it in ways. Keep in mind, this was before
Wizards,
before
Yeah.
Twitter and Facebook and all that other good
Yeah.
stuff. So all I could do was read about it in the various trade areas,
Right.
And that he did as much input,
as
they
much
would
creative
let him.
input as they would give him.
Yes.
Yeah, but
And-
that was one of those things where it's one of those movies I would love to see them redo the movie as it was and redo it now and give it a better run. And pay it more respect instead of just throwing John Leguizamo in to play the Violator as a comic relief.
Does he count as a Mexican superhero?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Hispanic superhero?
Absolutely, yeah.
It goes back to the last one. So, Khalid, if you're listening, we found one.
There you go.
I
There you
like
go.
John Leguizamo. He's a great actor.
Yes.
Great.
No,
Legit.
he is really good. His,
absolutely.
his turn in John Wick is fantastic. I
John
love
Wick
what he
too.
does, and I love what he does in
Great.
John Wick.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it just it suffered from the Spawn at the time. It suffered from no credibility, and now we see so many of these Marvel movies have an honest turn at being a good movie. Somebody went, you know what, this is a good story. We can actually we can show a good story. It doesn't just have to be Dolph Lundgren and the Punisher. It can be good, and I would love to see them do that again. Which is why I kind of like you. I'm hopefully optimistic,
What do you got against Drago?
but I'm not quite sure.
Different movies.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
different
sorry.
movies, but I'm not
would
quite
break
sure.
you.
I'm not quite sure. I want to see this particular take on Spawn. I'm not sure I want to see it from Twitch and what's his face's
Sam.
Sam, thank you. I'm not sure I want to see it from their point of view.
And that's
I-
what they're saying, right?
Yeah, and I would really like to see the Spawn redone from Spawn's point of view. Give it a better shot.
And we don't know that's what they're going to do. I mean, after all,
It's just rumor. It's conjecture.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I understand.
every movie, no matter what they show you in the trailer, you can't believe it anymore until
That's
you're
true.
actually seeing it. Since
Well,
they-
unless you're
Unless you're
watching,
DC.
unless you're watching DC, and then
They'll tell you exactly
they'll tell
what
you,
Doomsday is
yeah.
going to do.
Oh no, that's not the bad guy. But that's not the overall bad guy. Yeah.
This troll from Lord of the Rings is not going to be the bad guy in this movie. Thank you so much.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go.
Anyway.
Woo!
Now, I will say this, though, to the flip side of this, right? Whereas in Marvel's killing it right now with the movies, what the hell's going on with their books? Did they just take all... It
You mean with the writing?
it goes
Stories?
back and harkens back to those days in the 80s where you were just like, I have to follow how many different books now to get this
Oh, no, that's the
story?
90s.
90s,
Well,
whatever.
the,
it was.
well,
Yeah.
the 90s
Yeah.
definitely, but
That
the
was
80s
difficult.
had some of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's,
Executioner song.
are we hearing more complaints about that? I just, even though they're still up there in sales, are we getting that lag?
Okay, so this is a long answer to a short question. Okay.
Is this because I'm short?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
I'm short.
no.
Jason's owed.
There you
Sean's
go.
drunk.
Woo!
Oh,
Not
we're
yet.
all drunk here, sir.
I'm confused. You're old?
Look at that. 96.
You know what? Screw all of you.
I'm confused.
give me your coffee cup.
You're
I'm done.
You are so not done. All right, so let's go on to Marvel. He's coming back.
I
love
know.
this.
It's all good.
Yeah, you're his ride.
Yeah,
He's not
that's
going.
right.
He's
That's
not
right. He
going
ain't going
anywhere.
anywhere.
Going nowhere.
If this is a really bad excuse for the restroom, Jason, next time we'll just call it. But
So the best answer I can give you, and it's a multi-level answer. So let me get to it. Okay, You asked what's happening with Marvel. Why are things looking the way they are? They're going for Marvel. This is my opinion. I don't have any inside track to Marvel. I don't have any insider information to Marvel. Marvel won't tell anybody. Okay, there's exactly one point of contact with Marvel for retailers, and he's a wonderful guy. Yes, exactly. He's a wonderful guy. Okay. Anyway, Marvel only knows how to go for the quick money. That's again. This is my interpretation.
Yeah.
Their only interest is in the quick, short money. They have no interest whatsoever in long-term money. DC, meanwhile, in my opinion, is almost completely different. They're perfectly content playing the long game on the money. That is, I can't tell you how many series that DC has published in the last 4 to 7 years that my sales on trade paperbacks have outsold single-issue sales of the comic book.
That makes sense, because that's,
But
Lord knows that's what I go into buy.
Well, but from my perspective, it's very the question comes up all the time: how can DC or Marvel afford to publish a comic book that's selling less than 20,000 copies nationwide? And the answer to that for DC is because we're going to sell 50,000 copies of the trade, right? Marvel doesn't even, apparently, in my estimation and experience, Marvel doesn't know how to publish trades even. They're perfectly content to publish one printing of the best story ever and let it go out of print. It's gone. Maximum Carnage, for example, which is...
There you go.
Okay, it's a wonderful, fun, terrific story that should never be out of print.
Yeah.
It was out of print for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Just gone. And the only reason it came back is because there was a concerted effort among retailers
to bring it.
To hit the one guy we can contact at Marvel and say, put it back in print, put it back in print, put it back in print. And so they did. They put it back in print for about 3 months, and it's out of print again.
But if you needed to find it, I bet you Jeremy could hunt it
Well,
down
I
for you.
got more than one copy.
See, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. He's just he's reveling. He's
What are you doing? Get your ass back over here.
So no, look, you got
so yeah, and I'm still answering your question.
Oh, I was
He's perfectly content to let you drive this particular.
Older
bus
people
and answer
need to
my
take a
question.
break every once in a while.
That's it.
He just has to take a break.
He's just
man.
taking a break. There you go.
He's gonna have a nap, maybe some tapioca. He's gonna be fine.
So like I say, Marvel's only interested in the short money.
Right.
So they see and hear that out in the world, everyone's clamoring for Spanish heroes or Portuguese heroes or Russian heroes, and they need to be women or bi gender or whatever versions
It's like
they want.
full-on market research,
Market
like
research.
pointed market.
I would hesitate to say that Marvel does market research, but that's just me. I don't know. I can't prove any of that. But it looks like they are.
It's targeted.
So Iron Man's now a black girl.
Right.
Okay.
Which in their latest...
Yeah.
Pardon
Okay.
me. And Ms. Marvel is she's I'm sorry. Right, she's a Pakistani girl.
How can you hear that far away? You have your hearing aids turned up? Oh, gotcha.
Bring your old ass to your seats, man.
and things, but there's all kinds of things like that Marvel has said. Okay, you want diversity? We'll give you diversity. We'll make every male character will now be female, or they'll be a different color, or a different or whatever.
So they're responding quickly.
That's their answer
Gotcha.
to the question of how come things are this way. Is, well, you said you wanted diversity. By God, we're giving you diversity.
So
Gotcha.
basically, they're doing this instead of, again, I'm going to use DC as this. Instead
Sure.
of making it a natural transition of the actual story,
What was that?
They're just shut up. instead of it being a natural transition to the story,
There you
is
go.
that better for you?
That's much better.
When my Hispanic kicks in, shut up.
What
so
Hispanic?
Anyway,
You don't have any Hispanic.
I-
Silencio.
You can't even speak Spanish.
yeah.
Hey, we don't
I
wanna talk
speak
about
more
this?
Spanish than you do.
no, you work more. Never mind.
There you go.
Never mind.
And I do that too, sir.
Yes, you do. I can't even say what I wanted to say. But you've got this natural progression
Good for you.
Thank you.
Look at you.
of the story to envelop the diversity. Whereas in what you're suggesting, right or wrong,
Asserting.
asserting right or wrong is Marvel just wants to, oh, this is what's popular right now? Well, by George, this is
Bing,
what
there
we're
it
gonna do.
is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which feeds into Jason's complaint sometimes about it, where it's like, don't be diverse just for diversity's sake. Make it a point to it.
And unfortunately, from what I'm able to determine, Marvel just does it to be, because you said you wanted diversity. Well, here's diversity. Well,
Yeah.
how come it's not selling? Well, screw that then. We'll go back to being undiverse.
Well, I got a quick question then. Just
Okay.
as you know, since apparently I've been around since the dawn of time, and I've seen these things change and ebb and flow.
Did you hear him bite his tongue? Go ahead.
Yeah, huh?
Okay,
Oh,
good.
I heard it from here.
Okay.
Anyway,
How many
Are
different
you
times
s-
have you seen the papal smoke change over your lifetime?
250.
Good for you.
What? Wow!
Man, well, let me tell you, 175th time, it was magical.
I
It was a beautiful shade of purple.
I bet.
I was like,
I can't believe Sean's Catholic just kicked in.
Well, we were going old, so I figured
Yeah.
I'd reach back
we
in
go.
time.
That was old. Yeah.
so anyway,
I mean, if you want to say
Let him
our,
get to his question.
our entire
Shut up,
calendar
shut up,
year
shut up.
is built on
Shut
when
up. Jason, go ahead.
I don't even know what I'm asking anymore. Okay, so what you're saying is instead of Marvel saying, okay, we care about the actual business side, like of producing comics and selling that to the fan base that already exists. Like again, going back and saying, hey, these are the trade paperbacks from the stuff that everyone loves. Let's keep those in print so we can use them and market them as an actual publishing company. It's more like Marvel has the perspective of winning Oscars, where it's like they're going to produce, where some people just produce movies for Oscars' sake, not necessarily for financial benefits. Like they'll lose money on it. because they-
Miramax. Sorry.
yeah, because they know they'll get the Oscar nod. It's
not
Marvel
even talk
basically
about
just saying,
Miramax.
since Disney owns us and we don't have to make money, let's just put out stuff that's going to get us acclaim and get us, newspaper printings and like newspaper postings on Yahoo.
there you go.
And
Yahoo!
Twitter
You're still
feeds.
going.
You still way
Yeah.
too.
the Yahoo on the internet.
I'd make a joke about Hotmail accounts, but I
The-
still
You
the
still
have
have
one.
one, don't you?
MySpace.
Me too.
I
on
see
my-
your Hotmail.
Thank you,
MySpace.
thank you.
Actually, don't remind me to tell you something
Where's
about
my AO
MySpace later.
Where's my AOL disc?
It's hanging from my rearview mirror in my car right now.
Anyway, so basically what you're saying is that Marvel is sort of has that mindset versus whereas DC saying, what is it that the people actually want? Let's keep it in stock. Let's actually sell comic books to the people or trade paperbacks to the people. Whereas Marvel's more of a let's just get the acclaim because the money's coming because we have a $14 billion movie industry and movie business that's actually keeping us afloat. The comics are just sort of a feeder side project just to keep it going.
And you skipped the most important two-letter acronym that there is as far as Marvel's concerned.
Okay.
F and O.
IP.
And yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Done. I get it.
That's all
Yeah.
they're for. It's more intellectual properties. That's what IP was. Yes, thank you. And
Raymond, intellectual property is something that is created and then owned.
Okay, sir.
Well, I understand that being as young as you are, you may not know these things.
I don't know, man.
Sort of like the Earth is round.
How was dinosaurs?
Actually, here's the thing.
So, and
Surprisingly,
so when
It's
we talk,
were.
when we talk about shut up, or give me another swig. I don't care which.
Nope.
no,
No,
I
you're-
No,
think
not
you-
anymore.
I think you've had
You've
enough.
had enough.
I think you've had enough.
But to that point though, so is that
used
brought
to kill
about?
mastodons to get that much alcohol. What?
Is it because of the mouse?
I don't know. Again, Marvel is a seamless silver ball with one porthole that I get to see what they show me. No, really.
I would
Surprisingly,
expect.
back
Has
in
that been-
Odd Diggity, that's exactly how you saw everything. He put a nickel in the slot. There was a little porthole.
So with that though,
The Art Deco years must
the
have
Art
been
Deco
amazing.
years
Yes, they were.
They really
Yeah,
were.
they
That's
really
good.
were.
Mucha was funny as hell, man. You have him over, and he'd start painting.
Yeah.
Man, we would go nights where we'd be like 2-3 bottles of vodka.
I'm gonna
and then
beat
Mucha-
you.
Grappa, sir. Let's.
I'm gonna beat you
Well,
with that microphone.
I brought the vodka because I was coming in through the USSR. At the time.
Oh,
So
okay.
at
All right.
that point, is that change where you don't have that much insight into Marvel anymore? Is that
But we've
At the
never.
Switch, or you just never have?
A great example. My wife recounts a story when she went to New York in the let's see the early '80s with her family, and she'd always wanted to tour Marvel DC, and she went to DC, and everybody at DC would roll out of their offices and say hi and hey, look at this stuff we're working on over here, and there'd be stuff all over the walls you could look at. You could stop and ask people questions. She said she could have probably spent the entire day there, but they only had so much time, so they spent an hour and a half, 2 hours. Okay, and then they went to Marvel, and it was the rough equivalent of Marvel handing you a pair of blinders and saying, you don't turn your head. You get to look at the dot on the wall and nothing else. And here's what we're going to tell you. And you can't. Nope. There's nothing to see. The only things that you got to see while you were there, I think they met one person, maybe two. And the only things you got to see there was like a conference room that they let people in, and there was somebody who gave them a presentation, and you could ask them one question, and then you were done.
This sounds like the tour from Jurassic Park in the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be.
They just kind of give you, let's show you, here's all you get to see, and now we move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was, and she said it's
true.
to this day.
Was there a Mr. DNA in
That's
that?
very much how Marvel versus DC feels. For example, as a retailer, there's a professional retail organization called Comics Pro. We just had our annual meeting, and
We were never a part of that, Jason.
No, we weren't.
well, there you go.
Again.
And, there you go. DC routinely has 15, 18. There were a couple of years there have been 30 people from DC attending in all levels of creative, and Jim Lee and Jan DiDio will be there from time to time. They weren't there this last year. There was apparently some other big thing going on, but they sent like 5 vice presidents and their entire sales staff, that kind of thing. And they were open, ask questions. Good. Oh yeah, we'll discuss this, and we good 2-3 hours of conversation. With
Do they sit on like a panel and you guys talk to them? Or yeah, okay,
cool.
Yeah,
cool.
uh-huh.
All right,
Marvel sends.
one guy.
Well, this year they sent 3, actually.
Oh,
Yep. John Nee, who I don't know if you know that
is
name.
that 2 names or 1?
Thank you. No, that's his name. John.
Nee.
N-E-E. Nee.
John
yes.
Nee. Okay.
Yes.
Just curious.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Y'all might remember him. He used to work for Wildstorm back
Yeah.
in the 90s.
I was about- I did recognize the
Wildstorm.
name, yeah.
Good grief,
yeah,
man.
He was one of their line editors
Okay.
back in the 90s.
Obviously,
And,
someone brought over by Jim. Or
No.
migrated, I would think. Well,
You
because
have
they
to-
bought them, right?
Well,
Was it
DC,
wasn't Wildstorm's Jim
DC
Lee's
was-
imprint?
yeah, it was
Yes,
Jim Lee's
Wildstorm
thing.
was bought by DC.
You're right.
Okay.
Okay.
And basically the Marvel presentation was, we're going to talk about these things. We'll have 5 minutes for questions when we're done. And we got to ask 5 minutes worth of questions, and then they literally got up and left.
Wow.
Yeah. That's the difference.
That's their model. Yeah, that's
I
their
guess
model. Right.
that's the way it's been.
Right.
That's the relationship difference between DC and Marvel for a good 20 plus years.
Did it start out that way, or has that just been your experience with them the entire time you've been
Well,
involved?
now keep in mind that Marvel went public in 93.
yeah, 93, 94.
93, 94.
so
actually,
it's just always been this.
Hang on.
Yeah,
Hang
gotcha.
on. I mean,
I've actually had the prospectus for that. We were getting ready to. Yeah, we were looking at investing.
And
Okay.
they went bankrupt in 97, 98, something like that. And then Perlman, Ron Perlman, I want to say Ron Perlman, but it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
actor.
I know
Ron
who you're
Perlman.
talking about.
Right, yeah.
Not Hellboy.
Yeah.
Perlmutter, I think his name is, like Perlmutter, something like that.
Something
Anyway,
to that effect.
Okay.
he bought them in 99, 2000, something like that. And ever since then, it has been
Tight-lipped.
It has been absolute shuttered.
Huh.
Yeah. exactly.
That's wild, man.
It's just the way it goes. But I'm still trying to answer your first question of why Marvel is the way it is.
Well, he said long answer to a short
That's
question.
It
true.
is.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's true.
and the other thing about Marvel artificially inflates their sales. You as the end user don't see it. Okay. And if you go out there on the internet and do enough data mining, you can find this information. It's out there. Marvel will come to us as retailers and say, this Amazing Spider-Man 800 that's coming up, if you just triple your orders from a prior issue that we pulled out of a hat, if you triple your orders, we'll give you better discount. We'll give you such a better discount on the stuff. It's actually almost like you're printing money as long as you can sell them. Now, of course, if I'm ordering, I'm just going to use round numbers here. If I'm already ordering 100 and you want me to order 400 to get a better discount, and I still sell the 100 I was going to do anyway, well, then I have 300 copies of a comic book sitting around that really ain't
dust.
killing trees.
Yeah.
But I didn't pay very much for them, right? But you, as the public, sees, because Marvel reports,
Increases
we sold
sales.
4 times
Or
as many
sold
comics.
Yeah.
Hey!
Right.
And it's more, if they didn't so much sell because, and this
They
is
sold to the retailers. They
this
didn't
is-
sell
and
from the
This
retailers.
has been an ongoing argument and complaint from the retail side of things. is
Right.
that when Diamond, for example, publishes their sales numbers, it's sales to retailers. It's not end user sales.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I guarantee you, there's no way to produce end user sales because comic book retailers are notoriously unwilling to share any sales information with anyone.
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
Moment for pausing for new nerds. Diamond is the comic distribution company. They're pretty much the only game in town. So if he wants to buy comics, he has to get them through Diamond, as does everybody.
Largely.
And they have the stranglehold on the comics industry.
It is a monopoly. It's actually almost government sanctioned.
Maybe that should be
Yeah.
our outro song.
Money, money. Yep.
Hey,
There
that's
you
not
go.
bad.
Anyway, but as you
so-
were, just some
so-
people may not know who Diamond are.
Yep,
Or Diamond,
nothing
Diamond is.
wrong with that. So the answer to, but it's from the non-retailing public side. They look and say, "Well, Marvel's selling all these comics,
Right.
They can't
Right.
be hurting. They're doing great." Well, they literally artificially inflate their numbers,
Right.
in my opinion. Okay, and the other thing that they do that is, again, a lot of this I have to say my opinion because it's really is.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't-
yeah.
I'm-
Yeah,
I'm
we
not,
understand,
I'm
yeah.
really not. I love
The opinions
Marvel.
expressed here.
Or Jeremy Shorr's an only reflection of Jeremy Shorr's.
Exactly.
Unless we agree with them.
One of the other things that Marvel does that you as the end user don't see, when DC has a big event comic and they get orders of, again, I'm just going to use round numbers. They get orders of 100,000. Well, they print 135 because they think it'll sell more. When Marvel gets orders for 100,000, they print 100,001 extra copy. In essence, they print. It's like they print like something like 2% overprint.
Yeah.
To account for damages and missing comics, and that's it.
Yeah.
Which means that, gosh, it's sold out.
Yeah.
We can go to the press and announce we have a sellout. Of course, we didn't print any more than we already had pre-sold.
Yeah.
But we had a sellout, and we can go to a second print, and a third print, and a fourth print, because,
So
of
it's-
course, we won't print more of those.
Which
either.
then, of course, makes the first printing more valuable.
Yeah.
On your end, theoretically, but that allows them to say that.
That's correct.
And
And
it's-
keep in mind, and this is one of those things that as a retailer, I fail to understand routinely. Marvel doesn't make any money off of back issue sales. They've already got their money from me.
Yeah.
Right. But
They
is it the prestige?
Could be. I don't know.
And-
I
or-
can't
but also
ask
varying
them. They won't
covers.
tell me. They aren't gonna. They're not gonna tell me anything.
No, exactly. But also, like when they go and they do these other printings, they do variant covers as well sometimes.
Sure.
Do we see the same people who maybe have bought the first issue and they come back like, oh, there's a second printing with a variant cover? There's still going to be. I mean, that's got to be a tiny percentage of the.
More bigger than you think. But
So
yes,
so they know they're going to get that second buy on at least, let's say,
Yeah.
10-15% of the people who purchased the first issue.
yeah, apparently.
What was your question, Sean?
Oh no, it wasn't really a question. It's more of a like a it's a misrepresentation of the actual numbers. They're giving it's not misinformation, but what they're doing is by saying we sold this many, they're saying this is our retail sales. Well, their retail sales are to you guys, and then you guys have to sell their stuff. So when you hear the term
But
retail,
they already have our money.
exactly, and when they hear when the general public hears the term, oh, our retail sales, or this was what we sold, they go, oh, well, look how much the general public is purchasing, and that's incorrect. It's a misconception.
No, it's not a lie.
No, that's what I
Yeah.
said.
It's not the truth.
It's a
Yeah.
misconception,
Yeah.
and so therefore they
spin.
deal. Not that they do deal, but it's you could view it as them dealing in a misconception.
It's lying with statistics, and it's done
Right,
all
right,
the time.
right. Oh yeah,
And it's probably done,
especially
actually,
at
now
a
that I think about
corporate level,
advertising.
like a big yes.
This is about
yes.
advertising. This
Yeah.
is about getting press and publicity, and people say like, "We've sold out. We've had to go to other places."
Right.
Because now you're looking at your advertisers and saying, "This is why you need to spend X amount of dollars per panel per
got it.
half a page or
Look,
per a full
because
page."
we had to go to 7 printings on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, It's like, well, you wouldn't have to if you just printed the number
Printed
the
the
first
number
time.
the first time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's that. So perceptually, Marvel is kicking ass, right?
Right.
Because they're tops of the sales charts and all that other stuff. And I can name you 5 or 6 retailers locally even who have entire storerooms full of extra comics they had to order to get those cool variant covers that people were supposed to want.
Speaking of cool variant covers, remind me to request my Action 1000 now.
Yes, that would be good. So it never hurts to remind him.
Yeah.
Yes. Did I answer your question
did.
about
You
why?
did, actually.
Okay,
You did,
it was a
actually.
long,
Yeah.
It's a long answer because
Very
it's a
Kevin Smith of
complicated
you, sir.
conversation. Thank
Very
you.
Kevin Smith of you. Good call. Good call. Thoughts and prayers, buddy.
Yes,
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 absolutely.
indeed.
So it's an interesting take. It is because it's one that I think a lot of people don't know, and as a mass, as a whole, we only see really what's going on in the movies. Because I think the comic book industry still, even though the culture has expanded and exploded,
It's not as public.
it's not as public yet. I mean,
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's-
most
it's
people
not
aren't
as
going to go
public.
into the.
It has
to the
expanded, but yeah,
stores.
it's definitely not as public. I mean, you don't see commercials for comic books anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
not that I know, not that I
well,
see,
Image
not that I see.
did when they first started. I remember.
That's why I said
some-
anymore.
It would have those
That was
commercials.
Yeah,
25
I know.
years ago.
30
That's why,
years.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Back when I read comics,
back when
back when I was big into comics. Let me rephrase.
Jason, you were on Pope number what at that time?
Yeah, right.
Well, that was still JP the second.
No, okay.
So,
okay.
all right, so
Wonderful singing voice, by the way. Sometimes we hang out, and he just bust out with some AC/DC,
You
and
know
I'd be
what?
like, "JP."
Your new nickname on the show is Highlander.
Okay.
So, all right. So, with the movies, right, being the same vein, and another question, which I'm sure you've been asked this many different times, or somebody may have brought it up to you at some point. So, did you or have you read the Mark Miller's opinion on Marvel versus DC? Because there's always a big Marvel versus DC. I mean, has been going on forever. I personally don't care one way or the other. I like some characters in DC. I like some characters in Marvel, and I just read what I like. There's
Pick a side.
no.
Sweden,
No.
Switzerland. Sorry.
Yeah, you're settle down. So
Don't pass the flask to him anymore.
no, I won't. But okay, so
I can quit anytime I
he,
want.
he had a little article. I just want to read a couple of pieces from it
Please.
because they
I'm
said
not familiar with it immediately.
okay.
So go ahead.
So they asked, what's the deal with DC and their movies, and then Marvel and their movies, and why is Marvel considered so much better than DC? So what Miller said is, and this is quotes, right? I think it's really simple. The DC characters aren't cinematic. So he goes on further to explain. He says that as a massive DC fan who prefers the characters, much more prefers their characters to Marvel's. He says Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman are some of my favorites, but I think these characters, with the exception of Batman, they aren't based around their secret identity. They're based around their superpower. Whereas the Marvel characters tend to be based around their personality, Matt Murdock or Peter Parker or the individual X-Men. He said it's all about the character. And once again, Mark Miller's opinion, still his words, his quotes, right? So DC outside of Batman is not about the character. With Batman, you can understand him and you can worry about him, but someone like Green Lantern, he has this ring that allows him to create 3D physical manifestations and green plasma with the thoughts in his head, and he's allergic to the color yellow. He says, how are you going to make a movie with that? He says, in 1952, that made perfect sense, but now the audience has no idea what that's all about. So, and I get where he's coming from. I kind of disagree with him a little bit, but I found his take very interesting, and I wanted to know what your thoughts were about that.
Well, I think
we stumped him.
no,
No, he's carefully thinking.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
If you have, I've read a lot of comic book history.
Yeah.
Okay, and one of the things that made Marvel successful back in the day, back in 1961, when Stan Lee created the Fantastic Four, out of complete frustration with Martin Goldman's request to write lots of sci-fi stories.
12.
Okay, sorry. I'm hearing the bells going off and going,
those
the
are
bells,
the church bells.
Yeah, every time.
Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
And
Every
for our
time-
younger viewers, that is the reference from the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Now I'm showing my age.
Yeah, every time Jason hears them, he has flashbacks to World War II in the towers.
Perfect. And
That's why he's gone quiet all of a sudden.
You okay? Are you okay?
Billy was right there.
Billy was right
Oh my
there.
God.
He was right there.
Parker, get out! Boom.
I was just there, and it's just his head wasn't anymore. And I'm like, Billy, Billy.
that's it.
Oh my God! Oh, dude,
Jeez.
dude, you're hurting my ears,
Yeah.
man.
I'm good. I'm over it.
All right,
Okay,
thanks.
there you go. All right.
Well, he was just immortal.
That's it. So the when
You come, you go. You're like mayflies to me.
Stan
Stan was
created the Fantastic
frustrated.
Four,
Yeah.
and the other. Keep in mind that I love Stan Lee's. His early creations are awesome. He hasn't done anything in years, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't have that. I can point to a lot of people in. I can point to a lot of creative people in the world who haven't done much in the last 20 years because that happens.
Yeah.
You run dry sometimes.
Looking at you, Madonna.
Whoa! Whoa!
Sorry,
where did
what-
that
is that
come
allowed?
from?
I don't
There you go. That's so
The last creative thing she did was Guy Ritchie. Sorry.
wow.
Actually, no, I'm not sorry about that.
Bravo.
Surprisingly, he said she was right too.
Again, opinions expressed here.
but Stan found a way to touch into the to get the comic book characters to a place where the average everyday person could identify with them, because they had foibles, they had quirks, they had
Right.
Yeah, I know Bruce Wayne lost his parents. I got that.
That's all you get, yeah, yeah.
And yes, Superman lost his parents
Right.
too.
But Cyclops can't see without his visor on. Rogue can't physically touch anybody. There's these people who have these problems, and you can identify
Right,
with
and
them.
Peter Parker's poor.
Peter-
and a nerd and all those other things. But they were approachable. They were identifiable. They were you could
You can relate to them.
you could relate to them. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Where I don't really know how much you could relate to an alien from another world.
All
know,
you
that
get,
kind
all
of
you
thing.
get from him is he's hiding from everybody because he's just trying to conceal his identity, which is interesting because really all he's seeing is he's hiding in his image of what he thinks man look like,
Yes.
of what man is. Is
Exactly.
a glasses wearing meek individual.
But what made Marvel successful in the day was people could the average everyday person could identify with the characters and take them into their own lives, at least in their head.
Right.
Nowadays, I mean, you let's see. You have they've gotten to the point now where it's almost like they need a running chart of the smartest person in the world, since they all argue over who's the smartest person, if it's Reed Richards or Amadeus Cho or the girl who's now Tony Stark's who's now Iron Man.
Right.
Riri, I can't remember her last name.
Yeah.
And Tony Stark's up there too, and they're like, I'm the seventh 7th smartest person in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's exciting. How do I as a reader identify with somebody who's a billionaire and incredibly smart? That kind of thing. And you can't.
Right.
It doesn't work that way anymore.
And
Right.
the other thing too, and by the way, Amadeus Cho knew Hulk.
Well, he was for a while.
Yeah, well, he's
Okay.
yes. You're right. He was the Hulk for a period of time.
You're getting to the reason why I stopped reading Marvel.
Yeah, you and me both, right? But to that point, right? So we've got all this stuff, but you brought up a really good name that I haven't really heard in a while. Reed Richards.
Yeah.
So Fox takes the property, Marvel denies it for a long time.
Still is.
No, we're just we're not doing that. We're just not pretty. But now we're seeing the Fantastic Four come back, probably more or less because the mouse is getting ready to buy Fox.
Shocking. No,
Right?
I don't know how. What possible
Just
connection
the
could there
irony
be
of that,
there?
right? So, and we've got Wolverine coming back, who's been out of.
Nobody's ever really dead in comic books. They're just
true.
they're just taking
Uncle Ben.
they're taking a nap.
Jason?
No,
Ben
they
was
brought Uncle Ben back
Yeah.
more than a couple
You know all
of
about
times.
naps.
I do, actually. In fact, from like 1973 to 1978, entire nap.
Oh, Gulliver's Travels, right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Wow.
What?
Okay.
A little known
Anyway,
fact, that story was written about him. Have you seen his feet?
Yes.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Thank you.
And I know some of those facts are misrepresented, but I mean, come on. When you pass it down through so many generations, it's going to get convoluted.
They were like this big. They weren't
The game
as
of
tall as they
telephone
make it.
only
kids,
goes
I
for
will
so
pull
long.
this show over right now. Go back home.
Look, we only have like
19 minutes.
19 minutes left, so
Damn.
we might as well finish
I've
it off.
babbled on that long. Damn
I
it.
know.
I wouldn't
usually
say
it's us.
babble. Jason, you know about Babel.
The
I was
Tower
there.
of?
Yeah,
Exactly, the Tower of.
it's actually it's
he was-
correctly pronounced Babel.
Gotcha.
Babel.
Anyway,
Gotcha.
anyway.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So, but when we talk about that, and he's saying in the state of the movies, do we have? I've always got hope for a good DC movie.
Real fast, let me also say for the DC movies, I actually did enjoy. Like, I enjoyed Suicide Squad. I enjoyed it more the second time around. I enjoyed Batman versus Superman. They were good movies. I had a good time watching them. It's not as well received in the public. Most people don't feel like they were given what they wanted to see, but I did like them. So I'm not. I hate on the DC movies because I make jokes about it, but I still enjoyed it. I mean, I see its faults, but I had fun watching
And
it.
I think that's kind of how we. Well,
But I didn't mean to
three-
digress. I just wanted to
the
say
three
that.
of us,
so.
I think, feel that way. I can't speak for Jeremy. I think if Jeremy thinks it sucks, it's going to suck. But whereas in I'll sit there, you're right. Whereas in I'll sit there, I'll look at it and be like, oh my god, why can't you guys do better? But I'm going to watch it.
Like I said,
I'm gonna
obviously
enjoy it.
there's still faults, but there's still movies. There's plenty of movies that have lots of faults that I still loved.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed them for what they were, and I did enjoy the DC movies. So any of my comments,
We say them in jest.
In
but,
jest.
But there is a little bit of honesty to it of
tiny bit.
when are you going to pull your head out and just, go back to that Wonder Woman formula? Is Aquaman the next Wonder Woman? Which
Wonder Woman was brilliant.
Yes, it was.
early reviews for
beautiful.
Aquaman are
It was
saying
great.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
got some
now
stuff.
one of the things that changed in DC that Jeff Johns was put in charge of the movie end of things, and Wonder Woman was the first movie that he oversaw from beginning to end, and I think some of his oversight shows through in that. I do wonder how much of his oversight will show through in Aquaman. I hope it's not just a Jason Momoa. Let's show my pecs and abs in every
Not that there's anything
single
wrong with that.
scene. I didn't inherently say that.
He's a
but,
beautiful man.
As he is, but that
And a manly
that
man.
does not make a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think this kind of ties into going back to you're talking about how the difference between DC and Marvel. DC's Wagner, Marvel is a soap opera, right? These it's sort of the
That's a very good. Being the soap opera, that's a very good
Yeah.
analogy for that. Yeah,
and,
totally.
I think maybe this kind of ties into the problem that DC has. Like you said, I think Mark Miller is right in his assessment that DC isn't a very
cinematic.
I don't even think
Because that's what he's speaking to the cinematics of it.
Right, exactly. But what I mean is I don't think it's the same way Marvel is. Like Marvel's designed to be a world together, whereas it's like how many movies do we get about Jesus every other year, right? But how many of them are actually good? Because it's like there's only so many stories that you can really tell. It's when you're talking about, but again,
You know how it ends.
exactly. But that's the whole point.
Always look on the bright
Side of life.
It's exactly, but it's like you've got
He came up with that just sitting on the cross being bored.
Yes, I know.
I love that.
It's awesome.
I love that.
Ad lib rules.
That's
man.
right. If Jesus had ad-libbed as well.
No, let it go. Let it go.
But it's what's with the echo on you all of a
I
sudden?
don't know, man.
Are you the Pope now with the cathedral sound?
Did you not see my smoke come out?
Yeah, but that was a different kind of.
That's right.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
a different.
Anyway, so I guess the question then is DC trying to emulate Marvel in the movies their mistake? Because they aren't Marvel. Their characters are designed to be so much larger than life. They are gods. They are mythology. Whereas the Marvel characters are just characters. They're people who have stories and things that we can kind of blend with. Whereas Superman's designed to be, here is your Superman movie, and here is your Wonder Woman movie. Now, like I said, you can play with Batman because in many ways he's so much more like us. You can break him the right way. But does that also does that also mean that this is why we get better comics out of DC now because they're archetypes, because you can tell their stories in so many different ways, but because they're so much larger. Does that fit the comic narrative maybe a little bit easier?
I can't argue with that, but I don't know. I think the biggest problem that Marvel currently has is they don't know where they want to go. All they want to do is make money. They don't really have DC. If you listen to them, if you talk to them, if you hang out with them and hear what they have to say, DC has a plan for 6, 8, 10, 15 years down the road.
Right.
Marvel has a plan for 6, 8, 10 minutes down the road. Maybe they might go an hour, maybe that kind of thing. They don't have a overarching concept of world building anymore. Right. And DC, at least in appearance, he does a great example at this meeting, and it was announced before the meeting. I don't know, y'all might have heard it. DC announced an extensive line of young reader and young adult novels based on their world. As a retailer, for example, I have a very large kid-friendly area in my store,
which I've always appreciated,
and I have lots of other people who appreciate it too. However, if you go in there and look, I probably have, I don't know, 15 linear feet of different DC characters and titles and books for all ages, from baby books all the way up through young adult books.
Right.
I think I have 7 total Marvel books, maybe 8.
So DC is going to do really good.
DC is
programming children.
That's what I'm interpreting.
Because enculturation.
Because Marvel just doesn't. Because it's the difference between the short money and the long money.
DC's building an empire. Marvel's ordering a pizza.
That's
Couldn't it also be that DC came out? I mean, DC started right a long time ago. I remember DC as being Superman. It was family friendly. It was always more family oriented.
The comic books that are published today are no worse than PG-13.
Right.
I can hand you 15 video games that every 10-year-old plays that have more gore and violence than any comic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I played one this morning.
There you go. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your question. Go ahead.
No, I just meant, given... so, to your point with the more books for DC and then way less books for Marvel... Marvel, you said, okay, so Stan Lee started with Marvel in 161 with the Fantastic Four, which arguably still were more family-oriented because they were a family. They were a family. I always remembered, the idea behind Superman, the idea behind Wonder Woman, the idea of that 1950s all-American, it was a family-oriented kind of trope to take words out of his mouth. That whole specific character, and it was more. It seemed more marketable to me, the kids, than a lot of the Marvel that I remember reading when I was growing up. Because that type of Marvel, you couldn't market the Punisher to an 8-year-old.
Really? Oh, come on.
So-
He was selling it
so-
to me when I was 8.
That's what
is
I'm
it?
saying.
So my thing was, is it just more that DC was more established in that, and that's maybe why they have more books to speak to that than Marvel does?
It's all about publishing methodologies.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that, and this is another one of those. It's not a secret in any way. DC was purchased by Time Warner in 1955.
Right.
And they have been owned by them ever since.
Right.
And Time Warner is huge in publishing and book publishing.
Yeah.
And all of that DNA that they have translates down in a corporate manner to the DC level, where that's why DC, when it comes to the trade paperbacks, which when you get right down to it, it's just another kind of book.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
DC just kills it because they've got 100 years of practice publishing books.
Right. They've got
behind
an
them.
established backer
Yeah.
really helping them go.
Meanwhile, at Marvel, and this is this now we're going into, I can't answer this question you're going to have after I make this statement.
Okay.
I don't know why, but historically, Disney has never published their own comic books. If you go back to the 30s when Disney started.
Oh, that's
And,
right.
and Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and all, somebody else published the comic books. And somebody else has always published those comic books. Even today.
Yeah.
They've owned Marvel now 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
IDW publishes all the Disney properties.
So they don't even have Marvel handling it.
Yeah.
Huh.
And I don't understand
That's
why.
weird. Yeah.
It's very
It
strange.
seems like it would go hand in hand. We just bought we have a comic book company.
We have one of
Maybe
the
we
Punisher
just
comics,
make
yeah.
them use it.
Publish our
What are you
comic
telling
Why
me to start the
not?
show off? Are
Yeah.
you using Logic? Stop
Oh,
that
crap.
Doggone it,
I'm
man.
sorry. Sorry.
Since we only have like 10 minutes left,
Well,
I-
hold on,
okay,
just a
sure.
quick second. So,
I've got them full of questions.
Yeah.
I know.
Because-
Well, we just got time to what he just said, but go ahead.
yeah, but because when we start off, what we're seeing now though is, and maybe it's more or less Kevin Feige who has that long game in mind,
Okay.
because I'm pretty excited about seeing Avengers: Infinity War.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it does remind me of Marvel of old,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
but I'm worried about
What are they doing after that? Yes.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
not
They're going to
just-
wrap it up, and then we have no idea
Not
where it's
just
going.
that, but also in that sense, while they've got their movie universe just rolling,
Absolutely.
like, okay, is Aquaman going to be good? God, I hope it's going to be good. But I also know, my God, Doomsday Clock that's running concurrently right now with the comic books. Great story. I'm looking forward to some more stories spinning out of it, obviously. I just want DC on the same page as
In the
Marvel.
movie world?
Cinematically.
I really,
Absolutely.
I tend to use the thing I think, and this is what I always consider, is it's like Ferrari when they're winning in the Indy races, or when they're winning in their their
Formula One.
their Formula One races. They're not doing well in production cars because they've got everybody working over here.
Yeah.
And then the same goes vice versa when their production cars are selling well and they're doing well, and it's a good car that they make. Well, now they're losing in the races. And that's how I feel it. That's my idea behind it. I think that would be logical, But anyway,
it makes sense. It's good.
yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
About
Same thing he just asked.
So would you feel, do you feel that way? Do you feel like, God, why can't DC...
I don't worry about it too much, to be
I'm not
honest.
losing sleep over it, if that's what
well,
we're
no,
saying.
I'm sorry. But
I don't want to wake up today. DC's got it wrong.
Well, at least he said it only tangentially affects him, really.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
really doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
It really doesn't. And I think that part of the young reader publishing initiatives they're going into is an attempt to make up some of that ground that they're losing in the cinematic world.
Right.
Okay, by publishing the stuff for the kids who would be more interested in getting into that. And okay, if we can't excite them by making awesome whiz bang movies, well, we'll give them cool stuff to read since Marvel's not doing it.
Marvel, give us a call. We'll help. We can help you fix all of this.
Find that niche and fill it. Yeah.
There you go.
That's what
Find
they're-
the niche and fill it.
There you go.
You took that to a
don't-
whole different
okay,
level.
anyway.
Yeah.
And you knew that would happen.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
because he likes levels and holes.
all right, go.
6 minutes.
Go.
Since we've dedicated this entire thing pretty much to Marvel and DC indie comics,
Yes, sir.
I mean, we have so many more independent comics
Absolutely.
than we did when I was growing up. I mean, back I can remember like we had Mirage, and then we had Image, and then that was you had a
Dark
few
Horse.
others, Dark Horse, and then you had maybe a few people who'd come and self-publish, but that was it. Like, that's all you had. Now,
Valiant.
yeah,
Well,
Valiant.
Image,
Valiant
Image is
came
now
in
the
Acclaim.
Image is
Acclaim.
now the small press publisher, for lack
Oh,
of a
okay.
better term.
Yeah.
They still publish Savage Dragon and Spawn, but what they're known for now is their creator-owned properties, and they're publishing just so much really awesome stuff right now.
Hello, Walking Dead.
Yep. Well, and it's not just Walking Dead. It's
Yeah.
there's so much other stuff that I mean, Gideon Falls, which just shipped this week, Oblivion Song, which is Kirkman's newest. The Image is really the clearinghouse, the core of the indie marketplace these days. If you've got a good, solid indie property, you take it to Image first now.
Right.
Though
That's
Dark
cool.
Horse, and
That's really
IDW and Boom and Valiant and Oni. There's still several really good small press publishers out there. Dynamite even publishes some good stuff. It's there's good and there's good.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
No.
Okay.
I meant Dynamite as a good thing because the Lone Ranger run.
Yeah, that was great.
I
Oh, it was
love
amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
But the small press, the not Marvel DC segment, which I don't really want to call it small press as such, but it's still only
Well, it's what it
20%.
is.
It's still
Yeah.
only 20% of the marketplace at
Right.
best. But it's healthy. It's chock full of really well told stories, well drawn and well told. A lot of people will go and do the rough equivalent of a Hollywood vanity project.
Yeah.
that is like Jeff Lemire and Scott Snyder will go and do a 4-issue miniseries at some other publisher,
Right.
because they can just pretty much do whatever they want. They're not constrained by editorial policies.
Right, and again, just since we only have a few minutes left, just sort of as a punch, like if you're not into superheroes, if you're not into Marvel or DC, these indie comics are going to be what you want. I mean,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
There's a whole metric ton of really good stuff out there.
I
now.
remember finding Dark Horse when they picked up the Predator and the Aliens run, and I
Oh, yeah.
got big. I mean, the art was never as good as I wanted it to be with the Aliens, but I mean, I loved reading all that stuff. That's the bulk of what I still own as far as my issues.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean stuff like Fables, which has ended. I mean, even though it's a Vertigo, it's an imprint of DC. That was one of the best things you'll ever read.
Yep.
Then you had
Absolutely.
Dark Horse printing Blade of the Immortal. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is stuff that's out there. Strangers in Paradise, right? Which actually started with
Yay.
that, which a little love for
which is
Terry
back,
Moore.
which is back.
Yes,
is back,
it's
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
He's actually tying everything together. All of the disparate parts that he's been seemingly unassociated stories that he's published over the last however many years since Strangers ended. He's tying them all together into
Really?
one. That's what he says.
That's cool.
It's only got 2 issues out, so I can't
Yeah.
speak effectively.
That's pretty cool.
But there have been appearances by several characters from other stories so far.
Interesting, and that interesting little factoid I learned when I spoke. We have our next episode is we have Ben Dunn. from Anarchy
He's a
Press.
wonderful guy.
He is. He just opened a new studio here in Dallas, actually technically Garland. But the first Strangers in Paradise, the first 3 issues were published through Anarchy Press, and then he went off and with whoever he was with then. But again, the point is, these indie comics. If you're like I said, if you're not into superheroes, there's so much out there. There's no reason not to be stopping at Titan Comics.
Where's that at again?
Where's that again?
3128 Forest Lane, Suite 250, Dallas, Texas 75234.
And
Sunday. It's the day they are not open.
Thank you.
That's the day they're not open. Don't come by tomorrow; you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
That's right. Go today.
Go now.
Yeah, go right now. Visit Jeremy, buy some indie comics,
Thank
and then write a letter to Marvel and see if they care. Anything else before we say goodbye, gentlemen?
I don't think so. You want to Anything to say?
No,
Free
thank
comic-
you. Thank you for having me on our free comic book day. It's the first Saturday in May every year. It's the 5th this year. We give away free comic books all day long. Every comic book store does this. So if coming to my store is completely out of your way, I guarantee you there's a store near you that will be participating. It's a kid-centric event, so there'll be lots of kid-friendly stuff. Take your kids, get some free comics, read some good stuff.
You see that, folks? Sharing with everyone.
Absolutely.
That's
Not
right.
just-
Sharing
Not
is
just-
caring.
And really, how could it be inconvenient? We're so conveniently located at 635 in Webb Chapel, right next to the Tinseltown.
There you go. Well, across the street.
Across the street, catty corner to Tinseltown, right next. The Whataburger's there, then just on the side, next to the El Phoenix.
Go see Black Panther. Stop in, get some comics.
There you go.
That's right.
All right, well, that's everything. Thank you, Austin. Thank you,
Austin.
Dallas on
Thank
air.
you very much,
Yes,
Austin.
thank you guys.
Thank you to all 4 of our viewers, and we will see y'all in the next episode. Please remember to visit us at Yahoo. And,
No, not
Facebook.
Yahoo.
No, Yahoo.
Facebook,
Alta
YouTube.
Vista.
Facebook
Alta
and YouTube.
Vista.
The Alta Vista.
That's
AOL.net.
Vagabond Nerds, yes. And our email is vagabondnerds@gmail.com.
It's Vagabond Nerds on YouTube and Vagabond Nerds
On
on
Facebook.
On Facebook.
Guys, it's been a blast.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Very
everyone.
much.
That was a great one.
What-
Thanks.
What is that? Is that it?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Ride
it.
of the
There we go.
Valkyries.
That's right.